See, it's just taking its time to go live. I don't know why it's doing that either.
Yeah,
That's what screwed it up last time too.
gotcha.
It's just circling and circling and circling.
Yeah, on here. Yeah, I see your live thing's like what 18 seconds into it. Yeah.
Does it show live on your side?
Uh-huh.
I wonder if we're live and it's just saying it's not. So we better be careful what we say, just in case we're live.
Yeah.
Hold on one sec. Okay, now I can see that we're live, and we've been live for 42 seconds. So it's always some kind of a technical difficulties when you're in a rush. You know what I mean? Every time you're in a rush, it's Murphy's Law that something's going to screw up as we go. But hey, we're on. Now we're ready to rock and roll. So it's all good to go. And we got listeners already anyway, so we got people on. We got people that in. And you guys are welcome to chime in and say hi on the comments. We'll be able to see comments on your family and stuff that are on there. So welcome, Art. It's good to see you again over the last. I was just looking back at our pictures. We took a picture together. You had one of this massive of a man that we had. We were at Chicken and Waffles. Remember?
Yeah, actually, we were celebrating. I had just turned 50, and I came out to LA to celebrate my birthday with him because our birthday is on the same day.
Yeah, and that was 2018. Can you believe that already?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking at that right. No, 2019.
Yeah.
July 2019.
Yep, July 11th.
Yeah, that was good. That was fun times. Well, if you guys are tuning in now, my name is Mark Cox, and I got my guest today, Arthur Washington. I got to meet him when I was teaching. We were teaching on the base, and we had the chaplains and the chaplains' assistants in doing a class. And Art, you were one of those participants. It's not a better fitting time to come out of the 9/11 weekend and have a 24-year. Still serving in the United States Army. I think it's fitting that we have something like that on this 9/11 weekend, as it's already in its 22nd year, I believe.
Yeah.
22 years, 21 or 22 years now, the anniversary of that.
Yeah.
And so it's good to have you on, Art. So I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself, and we'll get started and start talking about your life in the military and such like that. Sounds good?
All right, brother. Hey, appreciate it. Hey, everybody. This is Arthur Washington. I hail from Gary, Indiana. And fast forward the last 24 years, I have been in the military. I'm currently stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia. I'm the Senior Religious Affairs for the installation at the Religious Support Office. Also been blessed, on the other hand, for 26 years. Being in ministry with the African Methodist Episcopal Church, co-author. But you want to know something, I would say, extremely that brings me joy is my family. My wife of 26 years being married, my son, Arthur II, age 23, and then my daughter, Andrea. She's 25. So that's my joy, being able to serve, being a husband, being a father, and then also knowing this great guy here with Mark. So
yeah,
can't beat it.
Yeah, it's good. I've got to enjoy. I've been on some times when you and your wife are kind of talking together. You guys are doing some ministry together, trying to help couples, and I'm sure that there's a lot of couples in the military that need this kind of help, away from each other and stuff all the time. And I've got to see, I think, is it your AMC church or something? I'd hop online on that too, because man, they get down over there, dude. It was so fun, man. I'm like, look at this, man. I wish I was there live. You know what I mean? And
that was Anderson Chapel. That was Pastor Rodriguez M. Johnson Jr. So awesome pastor. Yeah. You caught some of the lives.
Yeah, I did some of those lives when it was on. It was fun. It was really good. So, well, I'll give you a little background on how we met. So we did a chaplain's assistant and chaplain's military training. We came down to base. You got Joe, I, and Carson. We were down there teaching chaplains assistants. And of course, every time we do these chaplain assistance things, usually it's the chaplains that are a little bit tougher than the assistants. It's always been a mind blow to me. I used to tell Joe all the time, I'm like, the chaplains, man, they're going to be saving these dudes on the battlefield, man, and they can't even carry a weapon. So I'm not sure if people know this too in the military. When you are a chaplain, I mean, they're very strict on, you guys can't have, carry a firearm, even on the battlefield. And so you would have what's called the chaplain's assistant. And why don't you go ahead and enlighten everybody what that really is? So who we taught that day and what their jobs are and what you're allowed and not allowed.
So pretty much with the unit ministry team, which makes up a chaplain and a now religious affairs. So now the chaplain cannot carry a weapon. So they would be the non-combatant. And so the combatant, which would be myself as being a religious affairs NCO, our job, protect the chaplain while we're on the battlefield. And so with this particular course, which was down at Fort Stewart, down in Savannah, Georgia, we had the privilege of learning the Special Forces combatives, and this really was able to help us out and really to be able to take our training up several notches, being able to learn, some other things and just the basic techniques. But now this was able to really help us to, help our chaplains also bridge that communication gap. And then also be able to help us to, really work together. So it was definitely awesome.
Yeah, it was a great thing. I think Joe being Joe coming on into the the religious affairs himself after all his tours of duty.
Mm-hmm.
I really think he's brought something to the table that the chaplains really and the assistants really hadn't seen before when he's bringing this extra training. So being from Special Forces, being able to bring it to the table, I think has done wonders for all you guys. And we got to go do it when we got to go to the shoot house and ready and play some sim rounds and stuff like that. So I am going to give you, because you're a pretty humble dude, so I will brag on you so everybody knows. So we had all these young guys, right? You and I were probably the oldest ones there, I'd imagine, right? And so we had all these young guys. We're there with our knee braces and every other thing every day that we're doing our thing. And so we're there. And at the end of the course, we decided that we needed to have, give out this award on who just brought it the most. And that happened to be you. So you beat out all the young bucks, and which is something that, I said, you can't give it to any of these young guys. You can, he outdid them all. Even in the shoot house, you were on it. You know what I mean? So it was an honor to give you that award that at the end of that week that you got to, that what you did there. So it was really cool. And it's a cool award too, right? There it is.
I can see it.
Yeah. See that thing? Now, how fitting is it that we have this today and you have that award on top of it, right? It's just weird how things go. This is an old student of mine. He's an old guy too. He says old guys do rule. That's true. I'm still choking out young guys on a daily, and so it's what brings me joy in my life is to be 61 and be able to choke out 25-year-old dudes. I love it. I eat it up like candy. So that's what I do. So let's talk about it a little bit. Now, what's your have you had some deployments or nothing? Let's say a little bit of history in your 24 years there.
So in my 24 years, I've had 2 deployments. My deployments were 2004. No, I'm sorry, 2003 to 2004, and then from 2005 to 2006, and those were back to back to Iraq.
So you're kind of so you were in service when 9/11 hit then, correct?
Matter of fact, I was stationed at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. And I was working in the chaplain's office. And as a matter of fact, that evening, we had teams that were split up, and we were sent down to the Pentagon that night. And our particular job was to, to talk with the, soldiers and, other folks that were down there, because you had a lot of old guard soldiers, that were there, because their mission at that particular time was to try to retrieve the bodies from the Pentagon. And it was something that even to this day, I've never forgotten it. I've never forgotten, anything that took place that I saw, at the Pentagon, that night. So
now that is the plane that went down that missed the Pentagon, correct? And went to something like that. There were some men on that plane that deterred that from happening, to making it even worse, I believe.
From what we're hearing, was that the area that was actually hit at the Pentagon was actually not too far from from where the chaplain's office was, but they were actually doing some renovation there. But there was some impact from a plane that went into the Pentagon. And how I described it, or how I remember, if you look at, if someone bakes a cake and you take a huge chunk out of that cake, that's being able to see that area that was hit. That's what reminded me on 9/11, being able to see it, because I saw it at night when we went, and then still being there that next morning, was able to see that area.
So did they have you, were you chaplain at the time in service at that time? Is that what you did?
No. So actually I was still, at that time, chaplain assistant, which is now, religious affairs. So I was actually still doing a position that I'm in now. But I was just in a, bigger capacity now than I was then. Like I said, we were at Walter Reed. I was stationed at Walter Reed Army Medical Center down in DC. I was the funds clerk for the religious support office that was there. And like I said, during that night, once we found out what had happened at the Pentagon, then they immediately called on our teams. We had several teams that were split up. So it was from out of our office, we had actually 4 teams to actually go down. And so each one, there was a chaplain with the religious affairs. And so we went on a bus and had police escort down to the Pentagon. And then we were literally there for about 24 hours. Checking on soldiers, checking on, different folks. We were in, certain areas, in the Pentagon. But, our main mission was to, talk with the soldiers, talk with the other folks that were actually, working at the Pentagon, and those that were there that night.
So when you were deployed, were you deployed as chaplain's assistant? Were you
Yes.
there on? Mm-hmm. So why don't you, because this is a unique thing, and I think a lot of people don't really realize that's in the military, where you have a chaplain that's kind of there, and then you have a chaplain's assistant that's there to protect him. What was it like serving for him when you did it?
It was interesting, because you brought 2 different people together, and your mission was to focus on your unit. And then to also focus in on the other units that were attached to you. Like I said, I was in Iraq twice. So when everything jumped off, we deployed. So I was in a unit that was out of Germany. We were 16th Corps support group. We were out of Hanau, Germany, and we went to Iraq. During the early stages, we went to several different spots. But when we finally settled, we were outside of Baghdad, and then we eventually went to Taji. That was the first time, and then the second time we were actually in Talil by the Air Force Base, and also by the what was the place? So it's called the Ziggurat, because we ended up I gave like 35 different tours of that specific Ziggurat, because that was the early Mesopotamia. And so that was part of the, beginning of civilization. And actually the Nile River at one point, the Euphrates River flowed through that area at one point, and then there was a big shift. But we were able to, see some historic land, and then also the land of Ur, where Abraham was from. So the curator that gave us the tours, he showed us the spot where they said Abraham was. So it was interesting, but then it was also good because you had all of the different military that were there, the coalition forces that were there. So we actually got a chance to meet other nations, military, and it was definitely interesting meeting chaplains from other nations. So
it's a unique thing that's there. A lot of people don't even know about it. A lot of people don't even know what a chaplain assistant's job was. So being able to work with that religious affairs has always been kind of pretty awesome. Now, did you go in? Are you ordained pastor at this point down too?
Yeah. So I've pastored. I've pastored for 1 year. So actually, when I was stationed at, actually about a year before I met you, I was stationed at Fort Benning, and then I had an opportunity to pastor in Troy, Alabama, and the name of the church was St. Mark A.M.E. Church. And we had so at the time I got there and was given the as being pastor, I was there about a year until I came up on orders that sent me to Texas, and then I had to leave from there. But small congregation, loved it, loved the people, and we had a great time.
That's awesome. So now, what made you decide to do, instead of being the chaplain itself, that you decided to do the chaplain's assistant side? How did that determine, or how is that determined?
Well, for me, coming in, being an ordained minister, what happened, my father in the ministry, he looked at me, he said, "Hey, listen," because I told him that I was thinking about going into the military. Because at that particular time, my daughter was about to be born, and I'm, trying to look at some ways of, getting some good benefits, and, that way I can take care of, her and her mom. And my father in ministry was like, "Well, hey, go in the military, look at the, religious aspect of it." And so I said, okay. And then I started to inquire about it, and I met. She was actually my first recruiter. Her name was Barbara Horton, from out of Birmingham, Alabama. Awesome. Have not forgotten her. Matter of fact, I'm trying to find her now because I'm getting close to retirement, because I want to see if she can make it to the retirement. But she was able to get me connected. And then once I went to the National Guard, graduated, and then once I went active duty, I went back to her again, and then she was able to get me connected with another individual that was on the active duty side of the house. That matter of fact, we still speak to this day, very close. So that's what I was able to get.
So when's your retirement? Are you in the process now, or where are you at in it?
Oh, so it is official. 1 July 2023 is my official retirement date. So next year I'll be retiring, and once I retire, it'll be 25 years. I thank God for the opportunity, because I'll be honest. Initially, was I talking about retirement? I wasn't even looking at retirement. I think I was looking at probably maybe 10 years and then, being done. But, good Lord had a different mission for me. So I'm grateful for it.
That's good. Now, so will you stay in, you're in Texas, is that correct?
No, actually, I'm actually in Alabama. So
you're in Alabama. Okay.
Yeah, stationed in Georgia, but I'm in right now. I'm currently in Alabama, recovering from surgery. So,
what old guy thing happened now? Is it shoulder, knee replacement?
Hey, I already had the knee replacement, but yeah, my wrist.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had my knee replacement too. And I've been through all that too, man. So I get it. I get it. So that's pretty awesome. Is that where you're going to stay when you retire?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. So, well, let's talk about what is it you're doing afterwards? Are you being in ministry after your Army stuff is done?
Yeah. So the goal is, I'm about to finish my bachelor's, so that way I can go into seminary, so I can get my Ministry of Divinity. Master of Divinity. I'm sorry, and my MDiv, and then that way, once I get that, but the other aspect is I will be pastoring. That's what I'm looking forward to do now. So I'll be doing an internship with one of the pastors that I was under, and then we just go from there.
Yeah, you're gonna be such a good pastor for a flock, because one of this gentleman too, he was a Marine, and man, he can pastor, and he just don't pull any punches, man. He's really fun to listen to, and he's very down to earth guy. He's a vet out of the Marine Corps, combat vet, and real life brought to the table, man, is it moves other people's lives. So I think you're gonna do so good at that. That's gonna be such a fun thing for you. Well, you're gonna stay when you're saying that you're gonna get a bachelor's and then a master's. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah. So the biggest thing, in order to go to seminary school, you got to get your bachelor's. So, and I got one more class, and then I'll be graduating in January. So once I receive my bachelor's, then I can go ahead and go into seminary school.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I've shared it with you, but my brother's been a pastor for 25 plus years. He's a reserve cop also.
Okay.
And but yeah, he's got that master's. Him and I are way different. He's a bookworm. I'm kind of a life worm. And you know what I mean? So but he's got a master's degree in apologetics out of Biola University here in California. He's a sharp dude. Now what he's doing, he was a pastor at Cheers, but Zoe recruited him to be the CEO. And I don't know if you know about Zoe's ministry, but Zoe's ministry has to do with human trafficking.
Okay.
So my brother's, he goes to Thailand and quite often working with their task force and extracting kids. And he's he was in charge of building something out here in California for the girls to be at. And that's quite a thing that you can see that, this human trafficking is a human tragedy, man. And some of these girls is just, what they go through, what they are because of what they are, and the ministry that goes behind. It's not an easy ministry, I can tell you that. Mm-hmm. And so, and I don't know if you know this, but my martial arts school started off as a ministry. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
That's how I started. I started at our church in 1987. My brother and myself and a gentleman named Ken Knight.
Okay.
We started karate as a ministry at our church, and it just grew so big that that's how, 2 years into it is when I decided that, hey, we kept the ministry up there for those that couldn't afford it, and then we had those that followed me down. But I started my martial arts career as a ministry. That's just what it was.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's probably why you and I gelled so well. Not well. You and I gelled really well because you thumping on young guys, and I was just laughing about it every day. It was awesome, and so that's for sure. So let's talk about now. I want to talk about you and your wife here real quick because I remember now. I'm not sure if I haven't seen you guys go live, but I remember you guys going live sometimes and speaking. Almost like you'd be on live on Facebook or something, and you guys would be ministering for couples. Is that correct?
Yes.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, what we did for a while, we were doing actually marriage ministry, and so we were doing that, out of Texas, and then once we got to once I got stationed back in Georgia, we started up again, and so we were actually doing marriage ministry there. And so we were actually, being able to, reach places and, reach folks, that we knew. And then, even some that we didn't know, but the key was our focus was not just married couples, but we wanted to encourage singles as well. Because we know that, a lot of singles, want to get married, but we want to be able to, encourage them, and tell them that, you may think it always looks good, being married, but, it's tough, because, you're bringing two people together that are now, becoming one. And so we did that for a while. And then I'm actually talking to my wife again to see if we can eventually start that again, because there's still a need for that. Because I know specifically for us, we've got a couple mentors. And if you put together their the number of years that both of these couples have been married is almost 70 years.
Yeah, that's a lot of experience, right?
Yeah. And to me, that's critical, because one of the, I guess, mission statements my wife and I have is that when we seek mentorship, we're not going to somebody that has the same amount of years that we do. We want to go to somebody, that has been through the good, the bad, been through the ugly, but then when you still look at it, they're still together, and they're keeping, God as that, as that third strand, that can't be, broken.
Yeah. Which is awesome. And I'm still, so I've been divorced now since, or I think around 2004 or 5. Right. And was a single dad, raised my kids. And so I always kind of enjoyed listening to you and your wife. I tuned in every single time, if you guys remember, right? And I'd chime in questions, and I'd encourage other people to go listen to you guys, And I never got to meet your wife. One of these days I'm going to meet her.
Yes.
So, and so I thought, man, I was hoping that that's something that you guys can do again, because I just think it was, it's necessary in these times for sure. Now, my folks, believe it or not, my folks are still alive, which is pretty awesome, right? My folks were super young when they had me. They got married at 18 and 16.
Oh, wow.
My mom and dad. And then my mom had me when she was 18 years old. So my folks are still alive, and they've been married 61 years.
That's a blessing. Oh, my God.
So, yeah. And so strong Christians, both my parents, and they lived through the good, bad, and ugly. I mean, they're kind of the anchor of our family. I would say, for sure. You know what I mean? So they always set a really good example on what marriage looks like. And when you're young, you're married young, and my dad working and listening to the stories of back in the day when what they are is, it's pretty awesome to celebrate 61 years with them in marriage. So I think that's good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's go down this road now that we spoke about your wife. Now you got kids that are my age too, I think. All right. You got a 24-year-old and
I've got a 23-year-old and I got a 25-year-old.
Right. So yeah, we've got some kids the same age. My oldest boy is 30. He just turned 30, and he's married.
Okay.
But I do have a 23-year-old and a 26-year-old, and my daughter's 21. So that's from dad to dad. Tell me what you think on what it's like to have a relationship. Isn't it fun to have a relationship with adult children? I have so much fun with them.
Now, now it is. You know, my kids and I, we've had a journey, but I tell you what, now, I truly am, you know, enjoying them. You know, laughing with them, you know, being able to talk with them. And then especially, you know, when they come, you know, and they'll call me, you know, ask me questions, or, you know, something's going on, you know, and we'll just talk. And that to me, that is, you know, so much fun. That's priceless. You can't put a price on that.
No, I've enjoyed it. I never thought it would come to where it would be fun to have adult children where you can speak to them as adults.
Yeah.
Because most of the time I want to, you know, take the back of my hand and let them, you know, you guys think you think you're something, but your dad will still whoop your ass, man. And so, you know, but now it's you know, now it's a little bit different. But what you sent to me now, listen, so we have two of these books that you have. So this one, I'm looking at it right now, right? You have this.
Okay.
The new book releases says His Turn, When Enough Was Enough.
Okay? Actually, that's the first one. The first one was His Turn, When Enough Was Enough. But the actual second one, the green one, Not My Will, that's the new one.
That's the new one. Well, let's talk about the first one.
Okay.
What that's about. Okay.
So this one, with the authors of Joe McClure, myself, Jefferson Jones, Dominic Davis, and Tyrone Downs. So out of the 5 of us, 4 of us were in the military and got a military background. But what this particular book is dealing with one of those life situations where at one of the most trying times of our lives, God had to really show us that we could depend on Him, and that it was not us, but it was Him that was, you know, our strength to, you know, get us through. So I know for me, my situation came through where I stepped out on my marriage, and I was wrong, and God dealt with me, you know, in a way. He dealt with me from Iraq. So part of the story is in Iraq, and then part of the story is I didn't state it, but it was in Germany, and so, you know, having to come to grips, and God really having to really basically show me that, hey, you know, He was in control. And so with that, you know, I'm grateful, you know, that I, you know, experienced that, you know, not just at that particular time, but being able to share that, you know, as a testimony, as, you know, and an encouragement. And that's also part of going into the marriage ministry that my wife and I did. So, you know, a lot of this first book, you know, and then some of the stuff I had in there, because I had some folks that just, when they heard some of the comments that my wife said, they were like, she should have knocked you out. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
That's yeah, that's something. Now, what on it here it says, is there more than just you that is an author inside this? So is it stories from each of these gentlemen, or what? What's the deal here?
Yeah, so actually what it is, both books are it's called an anthology. And so all of us have stories. And what was so unique about the first book is that none of us talked. We didn't even know each other. And then we started to do video calls with our publisher, Dr. Karen Lomax, and who has really been a blessing. And so with this, each of us have had a story where we've had to come to grips and where we've had to depend on God, you know, in order to, you know, get through. And so each of us has shared a part of us to be transparent, to show that, guess what? Yeah, we have, grown through some situations. We've been in some situations, but by the grace of God, he's pulled us out of it. And so now our victory, hopefully, is your victory, because especially if you have dealt with what we've dealt with.
Yeah, that's so it's like, almost like each one of you guys have these little short stories inside this book then. Is that correct?
Yep, definitely. Yeah. So you get different stories, and it was just like Dr. Lomax was saying, as she was, initially looking at all the stories, and everything just, it looked like every story just flowed back to back to back. And you could just see God just working through, that whole process.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That's good. Yeah, that's good. I think that let's take a look about Not My Will. Now, is this a continuation? Now, it looks like you have so is everybody the same people in this book that from the last one?
Yes. Yeah. Matter of fact, yeah. If you turn the actually, I don't know. I thought I sent a picture, but if you see the picture, that is actually the same group. So Dr. Lomax, she's the publisher, but then she's also reserve chaplain, and then we're part of a group connected with her. It's called HIS, helping, inspiring, and supporting, and that's a men's group. And so all of us, again, like I said, are military, with the exception of one. Because matter of fact, her dad, Joe McClure, that's her dad. He's a former Marine, gunny. And then you had Elder Tyrone Downs. He's been retired, I want to say probably a couple years now. He retired Master Sergeant from out of Marines. And then Jefferson Jones was reserve chaplain, and then of course Dr. Lomax, reserve chaplain, and then Elder Dominique Davis. So all of us got connected through her. So these stories, these books have been the vision that God gave her.
So I'm trying to look at now. Dr. Lomax, and now is she have part of this? Because it looks like she forwarded the first book. Is that correct? Is that what I'm looking at right here?
Yep, that's correct. She published both books. She was able to publish both of them because she's a published author as well. And so because of her success, we were able to get connected with her, and then she published both books. She also did the forward, in the first one, and then in the second one, she's got some stuff in there as well. So,
okay, so tell me, like inside here, Art, what is it? Are these the same format where you got different little stories that are going on in these books? Yeah. Is that correct?
Yes. Both books are pretty much, they have the same, idea. We have gone through a journey, but I think what this particular one, Not My Will, this one is focused on something that we really, really dealt with. I know for me, in this one, I opened up about my childhood. I was sexually assaulted, from the age, 9 to 11. One by female, and then 3 by males. I went through a hard time that has gone up to probably the last couple years of me really now learning how to heal. And so each of us, we took a particular thing that we dealt with, and the purpose is we wanted to share it. We wanted other folks to see that, guess what? I thought my will was strong, but it wasn't. But not my will, but by the grace of God, he's enabled us to be able to share these stories, because there are folks out here that we realize that are hurting, that have been through some situations, that have been through some things, and they're looking for some type of hope. And so in these 2 books, especially this last one, Not My Will, we really wanted them to be able to see that we were really transparent in this particular one.
This is pretty. So these guys aren't all necessarily military then, is that correct?
No, so really there's only one that's not military, and then the rest of us just happen to be military.
So yeah, this is interesting book on how to get through. Do you guys speak on how to get through to that, or what do you guys speak on in this? This is what he did. This is how he brought us through.
Yeah.
Is the book kind of built like, you're going to read this and you're going to see what other people have suffered. You know what I'm saying? And so why don't we go from there and tell me about that?
So I think, I guess the best way to explain, I'll use mine. So with mine, what I did, I gave you a glimpse of my upbringing, part of my childhood. And then I go into some of the struggles that I went through. And then in the struggles, I talked about those that caused, the issues, those that I was trying to show folks, let me show you what my so-called support system was and how my support system failed me. But then in the end, God was able to send people my way. So in the midst of it I'm showing you how I grew up. Then I'm showing you what I went through and what those things that affected me. And then in the end, how the good Lord was able to send folks my way that helped change me to where I am now. So it's giving you, hope in the midst of probably chaos, and then being able to give you an encouraging word at the end to say, guess what? Yes, I may have grown through this situation, but guess what? You've got victory, and this is how you get victory.
Man, it's powerful. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I want to ask you this while I have you on there on my show. When you're doing your ministry, I want to know how you guys help bridge gaps between racial tensions. How do you do that?
I know each of us, like I said, we're all in different states, and so each one is doing different things. So I know, like for example, my brother Jefferson Jones, he's out in he's in Georgia. He's in Georgia now, and part of the Connection Church that he's with is a mixture. So it's whites, blacks, but what they're now talking about is they're having discussion panels. They're talking about racism, but then also they're talking about mixed, the interracial couples. They're talking about things that some folks may shy away from, but all in all, what they're trying to do is to encourage folks, encourage us, as Christians, that guess what? We were created out of God's image. But then also what I try to do is, matter of fact, I'm always a servant. That's always been my goal, is to be able to help others. So helping others, I don't look at you as being white. I don't look at the next person as being, Hispanic. To me, we were all created out of God's image. We're all God's children. So guess what? I'm going to try to help you, in whichever way possible. I know I'm kind of fumbling, but just trying to get the correct words. But, at the end statement is this: whoever I can help, regardless of color, that's my goal, is to be able to see you, succeed.
That's good, Art, because I was, when I teach, I'm the same way, right? I'm not looking at whatever is, and I have never you know, I've never experienced quite that kind of thing. And when I'm doing the soldiers, you know what I mean? I mean, a
Yeah.
soldier is a soldier. I
Yeah.
say this quite often in the karate world, in the martial arts world. The mat is a very transparent thing. When you step on the mat only knows the truth. It doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care. Matter of fact, the mat don't really give a rat's ass what you are, to be honest with you. Black, yellow, white, green, it doesn't really matter. When you're on the mat, you're on the mat trying to make yourself better. And I've always wanted to make sure that we have some kind of a dialogue, because everybody shies away from the dialogue.
Yeah.
But I haven't. So here's my experience. I'll give you some experience on my side, right? During the pandemic, I was in Georgia, and it was Sunday. It was a Sunday, and I'm going into Savannah, and I'm getting off on the freeway, and I mean, there is worship music it's popping. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I mean, you can hear it from the freeway, right? And I was like, what is that? And as you get off, there's a church there that is, I don't know if it's an AMC church or what it was, but I mean, these guys are worshiping, like all the cars are there, the people and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I wonder if I'll be welcome here, man, because I want to sit and listen to this. You know what I mean? So I just pulled right up in. I just pulled right in the middle, and just kind of rolled my windows down, and I was enjoying that music, man. If you couldn't feel God in a place, man, I was like, oh my gosh, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And and to be honest, man, I was the only white guy there, man. That was it. It was just me. And and I stepped out of the car, and I just had the best time with these people here. You know what I mean? Which was something that I came back and spoke to my own children about. I said I didn't experience anything weird there. I said, I don't know where. I said we are a lot more alike than people like to than people like to play this back and forth.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to hit on that while you and I work together, because I know that well, first of all, I know God doesn't see color. I can tell you that. You know what I mean? He sees heart. That's what he sees. And so I wanted to ask those questions on how that works. You know what I mean? People struggle. I was listening to, even when I was listening to you and your wife, people struggle in marriage is right. You guys have done it for a long time, right? It's money, right? It's bills, it's all the financial stuff that comes, happen at you. And the enemy is always knocking at our door to make sure we can be divided, not united, so that we can, and I don't know, I just wanted to see what your thought process is on that, and how you bridge gaps like that.
I tell you, I had one example. It was, when was it? I want to say in August, I think it was. I had an opportunity to go and preach at a congregation that was all white, and I wasn't sure, initially, because what was asked. One of my chaplains had received a call. And they were asking for, somebody to come out to the church. And he said, well, I'll see, who we can find. And so he knew that I was, ordained. So he said, hey, are you going out of town? I said, no, I'll be here. And he said, well, there's a church, here in Columbus, Georgia. He said, would you mind, going there? And I said, when you need an answer by? He said, give me 1 o'clock. I said, okay. So I called him back. I prayed on it, and I said, yeah. And so I ended up talking to the lady, and we had, an awesome conversation. And when I got there, like I said, again, I wasn't sure. And so I got there and I looked, and I called my wife and I was like, honey. And I said, for some reason, I said, you know what? I thought this was going to be, probably, mixed and then my wife said, it doesn't matter. And that's the key thing we got to remember. It doesn't matter because we were all created out of God's image. And I had the best time there. And she said something that I didn't even really think about. And she told the church, she said, I want to mention something that, that he mentioned. He didn't care if it was one person or it could be 50. The point of it was being able to get the word of God out. And she said, you're in the right place. And I mean, we had a good time. And then they ended up asking me to come back the following Sunday. And so, I mean, we had good fellowship. I mean, I enjoyed it and, would do it again. And so I think if we would just take the time to really get to know each other, have a sit down.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you know what? I can use you and I as that example. When we got to that course, I watched you to see your mannerisms, to see who you were. And as I got to know, there was one thing that gave us that connection. We were the two oldest in the class.
Right.
And so, and I think what really bridged us together was not so much doing the techniques, but when we had to go to that shootout and I took that guy out like that and you hopped up, and from that moment forth, you could not tell me that you and I were not brothers because we were connected.
That's correct. I remember that. Yeah.
And so, and I think if everybody would take an approach like that, and let us not be fearful of each other, but let's encourage one another. Let's build each other. Let's make sure that, we're encouraging, because I mean, we may not always talk, but every time we reach out, I always end, hey, my brother, because I mean that, because of that time that we shared, and that I was in California, you came to celebrate something with me. And I'm like, you know what? That meant, a lot to me. And that means if we would just look at each other and encourage one another and truly build each other up and just sit down and listen, it'll be much better.
Yeah. Those are powerful, powerful words. This is where, and this is why my show is called Some Real Talk, because I didn't want to, I know that you and I are close, so, we don't get to see each other every day, but I'll tell you what, if we lived in the same neighborhood, we'd be at each other's house for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed all the talks that we had with you and stuff like that. I feel there's a culture difference, and that's the problem, that we don't know each other's culture. That's the problem, I think. You know what I mean? And I just think that there's certain ways that different cultures approach things, and we just don't know it. We just don't know what it is. We don't know what it's like to have maybe in that culture what it is. But I have learned that lesson on the mat, that, when push comes to shove, it's my school's a family, and it doesn't. And I'll tell this story too, just so you know, even in the, listening to my children, I don't know how your children are, but, I was telling my kids that even in the in the LGBT community, I said, when I was young, I said that was huge taboo. Okay. And it wasn't until one of the young boys were at my house, and I knew, him and I were just sitting by ourselves, right? And I was asking him, I said, hey man, what's it like for you to be in high school and doing like this? And he goes, oh, Mr. Cox, he goes, I'm so ridiculed, you have no idea. And then people have hit me for no reason and stuff like that. Man, that infuriated me. Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And I was so pissed off that my views, his pain way overshadowed any of my views at that particular time. I was so ticked off that somebody's going to, intimidate you, because I was bullied, right?
Yeah.
And I wish they'd bully me today, right? This is just my mindset, right? And I was just so taken back by that, and I see the same thing here, and even and that's why I told you. I said even my reservations, I almost didn't swing into that church.
Yeah.
Because I just felt, well, they're not gonna, Now think about that. Think about if I just didn't do that. That's just the mindset that we have on each other. Man, I had the best time. These two couples next to me in this car. I mean, they got fruit. They're jumping all over. I mean, I had the best time at that church service ever.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys have church service for 3 hours, but you got to have some. You definitely have to have some hopping music, because that's what kept me there for so long. Because the music was just impeccable, right? And so it was. I just had a really good time. I just had a really good time in there, and so I wanted to bring that up while you and I were discussing this stuff, because I know listening to your books. Now I ordered the book yesterday, right? Because I'm gonna bring that in. I want to read it.
Okay.
Believe it or not, what you just shared and stuff happened to me too as a young man.
Wow.
Okay. From a male. And I don't know, maybe that's what started my, I've always been kind of an aggressive dude.
Yeah.
And then, martial arts kind of formed that a little bit more. So I just wouldn't, I wouldn't, go down the wrong path, which would have been very easy for me to do. But I've always been, well, you've taken class with me. You see, I'm a pretty intense dude, right?
Okay.
And I take what I do, very serious. And I want to make sure that our soldiers are safe and we come home safe. So that was interesting read. And so I ordered it yesterday, and I should have ordered a Kindle so I could have read about it, and we can do it. But I want to make sure I can leave it open with you, Art, that, we can come on and speak a little bit more on the racial side of things, because I just feel comfortable talking to you about it. You know what I mean? And you have to feel comfortable talking with somebody, because if you don't, you just kind of, I better not ask that question, or I better not ask that. I don't want that being taken wrong or something like that. And I think this is a problem. I had, I just had a really good. I had a great time at your birthday. Okay, I mean, we went down to the chicken and waffles, and and of course, your friend is as big as a freaking house, dude. And I'm like, man, I got the picture of the three of us, and I'm like, man, this guy towers over us, bro. And and so it was just, it was a really good time, man. I look forward to things. So your retirement party, what are you doing for that? What's that going to look like?
So, retirement, I'm gonna have a small gathering. So actually what's going to happen is, after the retirement ceremony, we're going to go over to one of the chapels. I'm going to do my farewell. I got a friend of mine who's going to have some food prepped and ready. And then I got some folks that's going to, bake some, cakes and, some other stuff. Then we'll have that celebration. And then later on toward the end of July, then I'm gonna have a small gathering at my house. We'll do we'll have a little retirement party, and then just to be able to thank those that really that were in my circle, who have who've helped me with the military, not so much the military, but just been a big influence that have really helped me out through the years. And then that's just a way of me being able to tell them thank you.
Yeah. I think that that's I was at Joe's retirement, when they retired Joe out and they let him speak a little bit, and they had kind of a thing on base for him too. And so they could have had a little bit better words. The command was just a little bit off kilter to me, man. I was like, what do you he gave the speech about, when about the speech about when things are good, the men, that speech right there.
Yeah.
And, one of the commands, like, that was a little bit rough. He's talking about that. I'm like, what what are we talking about, man? We're talking about the Army, man. What are we talking about, dude? And I was like, man, I said, that was a blow to me right when I saw it. So, and that's going to happen in July, huh? Yeah. You got to keep me posted on that, man. If I got time,
I definitely will.
I'll fly out there to that.
Yeah, send me your address, and I'll definitely make sure you get an invite.
Yeah, I might come out to that. That's going to be in July, and we don't got a lot of stuff going on.
Actually, that's going to be it's going to be on the 18th of July.
Yeah, I think that's something I can make. You know what I mean? And that's going to be there in Alabama. Is that where it's going to be?
No, actually, that was going to be at Fort Benning. So the
that's going to be in Georgia.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
yeah, that'll be at Fort Benning.
Now, Fort Benning is where is Fort Benning as from Hunter or Stewart?
Okay, so that's probably around, I want to say probably 6 hours. So Benning is right close to Columbus, Georgia, and was actually right outside of Columbus, Georgia, and it's about 97 miles from Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes it even better, man, because I'll make it out there, and then I'll go see Carson down there in Savannah afterwards. Okay. So, yeah, I definitely can. I'll definitely make something like that happen. That'd be fun. Okay. That'd be fun to see you off and do that. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Just send me your address, and I'll definitely make sure I get that invitation to you.
All right. Okay, Art. Well, we've been on an hour already, man. That hour went by quick. We may have had a little bit of difficulty, but man, this was a great interview for me. I really enjoyed this about your book, about your great wife, and stuff that we got to do together, man. It was just really fun. I really enjoyed talking with you. So here's what's going to happen. I will, I wrote a book this year, by the way. It's going to be released in January.
Good.
Yeah,
I'll definitely get it.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one. I called it Beyond the Mat, so lessons that I learned past the mat, what I take on the mat and went out to the real world. So, it's been good. My second book will probably talk a little bit more of me teaching the military. Teaching the military has really, I got lucky doing that, being a civilian.
Yeah.
It's very hard to come into the military world as a civilian. I mean, I have law enforcement experience, but, not chewing the same dirt as you guys. I remember talking to Joe about it going, man, I said, Joe was the first one. I remember the very first class I taught, and I'm like, man, I'm not in the military. So I picked Joe out of the lineup. This is how Joe and I became close, because I could tell he was just the beast of the class. Yeah. Right. And, so I had Joe come up, and I said, I want you to hold a pad for me so I could teach these guys how to punch. And I punched Joe, and he about took his breath away right through the pad. And that's how he was like, okay, when I first saw you, your build wasn't what I expected. And when you hit me, he goes, you about took the breath out of me. And that's how it came, And so I just said, I hope, I had to do something to earn these guys and girls respect, because I didn't chew the same dirt with them. You know what I mean? But my experiences there had honed my art, because some things that we didn't work well for military. I said, hey, man, we, especially when we're talking about low ready weapons and stuff like that. I said, man, we weren't doing that as much, and we had to really kind of revamp some stuff. So military training for me has really opened up, to make the art better. So that's definitely, that's definitely a thank you to you guys for having us out there on that base and being able to hopefully keep these young kids a little bit more alive and a little bit more aware about what they're doing. So I will also, this will be edited, Art, just so you know. So it'll always be live. It's on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is the same name, Real Talk with Mark Cox. My YouTube, the video portion will be there. Okay. But I will download the audio of this, and I do a little bit of editing on it, and then it'll be ready for upload. So there'll be an audio version of what you and I spoke about. Okay. I'll give you the link to that. You'll be able to share it with your people. So people, when they're driving and stuff, you can get my podcast on anything, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or whatever. And you can subscribe to it, and you can listen to the interview that way too. So, okay.
Hey, I appreciate it, brother. This was awesome. I was definitely looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too, man. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you soon. All right.
All right, brother. Take care.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.